Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with my February reading plans, because there are so many exciting readathons coming up. Oh, and I got my hair cut, in case you didn't notice. So I am once again participating in quite a few readathons during February, and I'm just really excited about the mix of books I have here. I'm actually going to start with my February readathon at TBR because those books are mostly separate from my Feminist Lit Feb and Black History Month picks because those two overlap quite a bit. So February is a readathon all about reading books about the Fae, and it was created and hosted by Sarah Jane over at The Book Life. I will link her announcement video down below. So the first book I want to get to is The Fairy's Return and Other Princess Tales by Gail Carson Levine, and this is going to count for the challenge to complete a series or trilogy. I might actually start this at the end of January and just finish it in February. I really loved Gail Carson Levine's other books, and this is actually one that my friend Giselle picked for me to read at some point, so I'm really excited to get started on that. And I think these are just like humorous and wacky kind of retellings of fairy tales that we know very well. The next book on my list is one I have been meaning to get to for a very long time, and that is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. This is the first book in the Seven Waters series, and I know I have not started this yet, but it's finally happening. And this is going to count for the challenge to read an adult book that has fae in it. Next, I have a book that dovetails beautifully with the Artemis Fowl read-along and with February, and that is of course to reread the second Artemis Fowl book, and that is The Arctic Incident. And this counts for the challenges to reread a fae book and to read a middle grade or YA book. I actually have quite a few books that could count for that challenge, but this one definitely counts as well. I'm sorry I keep looking down at the challenge notes I have, but one of the other challenges is to try a new author. And I have a couple of options for that one. The first is a book I mentioned in a recent book haul, and that is A History of Glitter and Blood by Hannah Moskowitz. And this is a book by a Jewish author. I don't actually know if any of the characters are Jewish themselves, but this is a fae book about, I think it's a group of humans and fae who are something like trapped underground, maybe? I don't know, something like that. There's like an underground fairy kingdom that is at war maybe or has been destroyed, and I am really curious about this one. My other option for that is Starflower by Anne Elizabeth Stengel, and I don't know much about this book at all, except that I think it's like a series of companion novels, but I think you can read them in whatever order you want. I just like picked this up on a whim from Book Outlet at some point, and I don't know, I'm curious. Another challenge is to read a fae book that you have had for 6 months or more, and this one I've had for quite a while, and that is The Fairy Ring by Kiki Hamilton. This is, I think, a historical fantasy, historical fiction type of fae book, and I don't know much about it. I've seen like pretty bad reviews of this one, but I do kind of want to get to it and see once and for all if this series is going to be for me. And finally, one of the books I am most excited to get to, and that definitely covers the most challenges, is The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is of course the second book in the Folk of the Air series. I almost called it the Cruel Prince series, and very polarizing. I know it's not for everyone, but in spite of some of the issues I had with the first book, I loved it and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I'm really excited to get to the sequel, especially because I have already been spoiled for some things, so I really want to finish this before the book is completely ruined for me. Thanks guys. And let's see, all of the challenges that this book checks off are read a sequel, human fae romance, released in last 12 months, fairy kings and queens, and stolen away to fairy. I can't wait. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna rip my heart out, and I'm ready. And then there are also quite a few other challenges that I would like to check off, but that for one reason or another I can't actually figure out which books fit them until after I've read them. So those are things like Human Becomes Fae, read 1 to 3 fae books, read between 4 and 10 fae books, read 10 or more fae books, read more than 2 genres, read more than 3 genres, new fae ship or OTP, and Deceived by the Fae. And that can be a character is deceived by the fae, or you as the reader are deceived by the fae. And by the way this bingo board works is that you get to check off every challenge you meet as you meet it. So if you end up reading more than 10 fae books, you get to check off all of the read this many books prompts up to that point. And then another exciting part is at the end of the month, you tally up all the points, like all the things you got to check off, and you can see where you fall in the fae court. I'm going for Queen of the Fae because go big or go home. So now moving into my reading plans for the Feminist Lit February readathon. This is another month-long readathon created and hosted by Jane over at It's Jane Lindsay, and it's all about reading feminist books, talking about feminist content, and it's gonna be so great. I participated last year and had so much fun, so I'm really looking forward to this year. And you'll see as I go through that quite a few of these overlap with Black History Month, so let's get started. So the first challenge is to read a book of feminist fiction, and I have a couple of options for that. The first one is Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers. I don't know much about what this specific book is about, but I read All the Rage by Courtney Summers last year for Feminist Lit February, and it was fantastic, incredibly powerful and devastating, but a really good book. And this is my friend Rocky's favorite author, and I think this might be her favorite book of hers, so I'm really excited. And this is quite a short one as well. And another option I have is Noteworthy by Riley Redgate, and this sounds so cool. This is about a girl who doesn't get into, I think, her her school like women's choir or something, and she decides to disguise herself as a boy, and she has a very low, I think, alto voice, so she decides to audition for the boys group, and she gets in, and I think there's going to be a lot of great commentary on gender identity and gender expression, because she kind of starts questioning some things, I think, once she is basically living as a boy while at school. And I've heard amazing things about this book from Kazen over at Always Doing, and I just think this sounds really fantastic and really fun, but with a lot of great kind of discussion there as well. The second challenge is to read a book of feminist nonfiction, and for that one I will be picking up We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I recently read her Dear Ijawale, or her Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions, and I thought that was brilliant, so I definitely want to continue reading her nonfiction. The third challenge is to read an Own Voices book, and while I think all of my Black History Month picks could definitely qualify as Own Voices, I also have another option that I'm actually taking inspiration from Jane's TBR, and that is From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. This is a contemporary novel about a girl named Twinkle, and she wants to be, I think she wants to be a filmmaker, and the feminist aspect of this book is based on, she writes letters to famous female directors and filmmakers, and it's about, I think, women in the film industry, and I think that's going to be really interesting. The fourth prompt is based on the fact that in the United States, February is Black History Month, and that is to read a book written by a Black woman or by a Black author who identifies as gender fluid or non-binary. I will be finally getting to Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I am so excited for this book. I've heard from so many people that this is a brilliant novel, that I'm going to love it, and I really think I will. We follow a main character named Dana who keeps getting sent back in time, and she finds that every time she gets sent back, it seems like she is there in order to save the life of a white plantation owner. And I know this is going to have a lot of great discussion of racism. I know that it's going to be really intense and really powerful, and I'm finally going to be getting to it. And number 5 is Feminist Freebie, and that is to engage with a form of media that is feminist, and that can be books, movies, TV shows, podcasts, music, etc. And because I am who I am, I'm probably going to be picking another book for this option. This actually works out pretty well because my friend Katie and I from A Sea of Tomes are going to be buddy reading The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. I don't think I need to tell you what the series is about. Everybody knows about this series, and I really didn't like the Grisha trilogy, but I have heard that the female characters in this duology are fantastic. I mean, they have to be better than Alina, right? So tentatively hopeful. So then we have some books that I have picked out because, again, February is Black History Month, and as I mentioned, a couple of my feminist lit February picks definitely count for that, like We Should All Be Feminists and Kindred, but I also have picked out a few others that I'd like to get to during the month. The first one is Binti by Nydia Okorafor. This is a science fiction novella, and my friend Huck actually picked this as part of my TBR, and I really want to get to this. I've heard really amazing things about the trilogy overall, and I'd really like to get to it. And all I know about this is that Binti is from a group that does not normally, I think that hasn't been accepted into this university before, and then she's traveling on a spaceship and something happens. And that's all I really know. I also would like to pick up Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and this sounds like it's going to be a really powerful and very current contemporary novel, and I believe our main character witnesses, it might be an instance of police brutality, I'm not actually sure, and in order to process his feelings about that, he begins writing letters to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. about his feelings about it and kind of working out like what he wants to do. I think this is just going to be a fantastic novel. I've heard very good things about it from people, and I can't wait to pick it up. And finally, I'd also like to get to March by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell. And this is the first indie graphic novel series about John Lewis's history of activism, and I just have heard so many amazing things about this graphic novel series. Okay, everybody, so those are my reading plans for February. Overambitious, but what else is new? I really am so genuinely excited about all of these books, except maybe Six of Crows. Sorry, Leigh Bardugo fans, but I'm hoping it can change my mind about her work. And I just am so looking forward to all the fantastic readathons and challenges that are coming up in February. Let me know if you guys are participating in any of these, or if you've read any of the books I talked about, what you thought of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!